Welcome, supers, back to another Tank Tales. This time, I have an entrepreneur that was on just 3 weeks ago, by the time this goes live, who brought her mostly brand new company to the tank for women's lingerie. And so, without further ado, I need you to give some super claps wherever you are right now, whatever you're doing. Just start clapping. If you're listening to this, if you're watching this, if you're on the toilet, it doesn't matter. Just start clapping for Super Athena. Welcome, Super Athena. How are you doing today?
I'm awesome. It's so nice to meet you through a screen.
Yes, well, that's mostly how people have met over the last 2 years. 2 years. Oh my God, it's like a time warp
Yeah.
that we've been stuck in. It's a pleasure to meet you and get to talk about your business and your Shark Tank experience. So what was your relationship with Shark Tank prior to getting to being picked to be on the show?
No relationship. I
Well,
got,
you didn't watch the show. You didn't no.
you know what? I don't watch much TV. I'm kind of a crazy one that I watch all sports. So I'm like a live sports watcher, but that's about it, Joe. I don't have a lot of TV. I read books. I'm a huge dork. So I read books like other people watch TV. Obviously, I've heard of Shark Tank. Um, it's an awesome show, but I don't know if I had ever kind of sat down just to watch an episode in its entirety, right? So and then once they called me and I started going through the process, I was like, can't watch an episode now because it's so stressful for me to watch, what could potentially happen if I go on the show. Because there's some people that have a hard time, right? And so I was like, no more Shark Tank until we do Shark Tank. Now I watch it all the time.
Wow. Okay. So, well, look, hey, I personally don't read books. I talk to people, and that's how I get my stories.
Yeah.
I don't watch a lot of TV myself, other than a handful of like Shark Tank, The Profit, Bar Rescue, mostly business related TV shows. Can't do the fictional ones. My wife, that's all my wife. She does. Oh, you got to watch Breaking Bad. I'm like, I don't know. I think I watched like the first episode. I was like, all right, I'm not gonna. See, to me, it's all about time investment, right? It's like, oh, you just got to watch 6 episodes. Well, there's 6 hours. I got to watch 6 hours before I decide, quote unquote, that this is a good show for me to watch. I'm like, I like beginning, middles, and ends. And movies give me that. I watch lots of movies, but not so much in the TV show department. So I
Same.
sympathize with. I just don't do the. Oh, I started doing audiobooks because
Yeah.
of the pandemic. I took up mowing the grass during the pandemic, and so I needed more than just podcasts, and took in a bunch of audiobooks. But yeah, I sympathize with not being much of a TV watcher as well, and people don't understand that concept.
It's the same thing with books. I do audiobooks and regular books because on Amazon, Kindle, and Audible, they sync. So during
Mm.
the pandemic, I took up an hour long or hour and a half long walk every day because my commute went away. So I had so much more time to actually like live a healthier life that I was like, great. We'll do books at night when I'm laying in bed. We'll do the same book, but on audio when I'm walking for an hour and a half. And it's just like, for me, it just calms me right out. It's great. It's not work.
Oh.
So I like need to do that.
That's an interesting thing. I Was there a way to sync where you were in the book
They
with I mean,
automatically
I guess you just
do
go
it.
to the chapter, but
They automatically do it. If you buy a Kindle book
mhm,
and you buy you can
the
also get the
Audible.
option of buying the audio version as well. And it'll say Whisper Sync, and they literally just sync with each other. So you can pick up on Audible directly where you left off on Kindle the night
Oh,
before, and then go back to
wow.
Kindle directly where you. Ah, it's awesome.
Yeah, because I would feel like it would take a few minutes each time to, like, figure out where you're at and
Yeah.
make it happen, so that's awesome. So, I'm guessing you didn't apply to be on Shark Tank. They must have reached out to you then?
I got a phone call from a woman who I didn't believe she was a casting director for Shark Tank. Like I was like, whatever. No, you're not. So I ended up giving this woman a free virtual fitting, like over the phone. I was like, all right, let's get your. She was like, I have these problems, and I was like, I have solutions. Like, what do you need? So I'm very friendly. So I ended up giving her a virtual birthing over the phone. And then we got to the end of our convo and I was like, you are great. I love you. Talking to this, she was great. And she was like, they would love you on Shark Tank. And I was like, that's okay. That sounds cool. Like, what would that process be? And she was like, well, this was step one. So, after that, I went right into the producers and sort of started that process.
Wow, wow. So, all right, that's all. I'm still waiting for my phone to ring, and then to say, "Hey, here's our cease and desist." No, no, no. I don't think that's coming. But some people seem to think so. But I don't believe that's coming. Um, I would love to have the conversation though. But anyway, so you're in the middle of because you started your business what in 2020, right? Or
Oh yeah,
2019?
we launched right in the middle of the first wave of lockdowns. And if you remember, I mean, right when we were all like sanitizing groceries and
Oh yeah.
freaking out, and or half the population was like, oh, it'll be over in a month. So that we launched March 25th of 2020. And I gotta say, it was, you just do what you got to do, right? But it was brutal. It's really, really a tough time to launch, because inherently there's so many more important things going on in the world than your brand, right? Like you got to have kind of perspective, and so I knew very, very quickly we were going to have to pivot. It was not going to be this fairy tale that I had sort of planned for and that we were sort of set up for. And so I immediately went into like, emergency mode, and pulled back all the cash flow and just was like, okay, I'm going to have to, I don't know how long this is going to be, but I know it's going to be a long time. So I will have to learn how to do everything that I'm paying other people to do, just in case this goes on for more than a couple months. And it did.
Oh, it did. It did. Hey, what doesn't kill us makes us stronger. I mean, it
Right.
did kill a lot of people, unfortunately. But being, it's funny because I have a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old, and the 4-year-old, both of them just turned 4 and 6. So the 4-year-old, I mean, literally doesn't have any probably memories prior
Right.
to having masks on and limiting interactions throughout the years of his memorable life. And I mean, Ava, she being sick, so she has some, memories prior to it. But it's one of those things where you're trying to like remember that 4 years from now, 5 years from now, 6 years from now, people are probably going to forget all about this. We'll have moved on, and it'll be like a distant memory for most. They'll be looking through the pictures like, why was everyone wearing masks? I don't. Wasn't there like a thing? There was a thing. I mean,
Why
for
did
not
everybody gain
everybody.
20 pounds again at the same time? Like, what was that all about? Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, so yeah, that is a very precarious time to launch a business. I mean, I was in Disney World the day before it closed on March 15th. We
Oh,
drove
wow.
back, yeah, to Philly. So, um, yeah, I mean, and then it was just like, okay, we got to find food. And I don't know if it was like this up in Boston, but down in Florida, nobody was rushing around like trying to get any paper towels and toilet paper. Were the only things that were missing off the shelves when we went within we went in the Publix. Me and my sister were like, "Where's like nobody's panicking? Everybody's got like the tiny shopping carts," and I'm like, okay, we're gonna load up the minivan here and take some things back because apparently you can't get everything back at home where people are just like mass panicking.
Yeah, it
So
was in Boston, Joe. It was, it again, so in the Northeast, people tend to, I don't want to say follow the rules, because if you've ever driven up here, no, there are no rules, right? They're a bunch of mass holes. So, that is true too. But it's in the Northeast, people are, they're really good about kind of sticking with recommendations and sort of, I mean, we have like one of the best healthcare systems in the country, right? So when it comes to this stuff, it didn't feel as bad as I kind of had seen it in the other parts of the country from kind of taking it seriously, but it did feel very bad in the going to just buy milk. Like, where is the milk, and what do you can't stock up on milk. Like, it goes bad. So, yeah, it was a
Yeah.
struggle for sure up here. Nothing like what it sounds like in Florida.
Yeah, no, at the time, like I said, well, then it's like nobody was like trying to, we probably bought the most stuff out of anybody that was in any of the
Yeah.
checkouts, and it was early. It was like, I don't know, 7:30 or 8 o'clock in the morning or something on a Friday or Saturday morning. So yeah, but still, it's just weird. It was weird. It was dystopian in the fact that like at home everybody's rushing, can't get chicken nuggets, but here it's like how many bags you want? You just got to be able to get it home. That's the only problem. But so yeah, definitely a precarious time to start a business. And very good on you for looking out and saying I need to pull back some of the spend because I don't know how long this is going to take to like get a good enough foothold. I mean, look, in a normal time, it could take a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years to really get a good foothold in a market,
Right.
right? In the pandemic times, most of us, not well, some of us had lived through a pandemic back in, or knew people that lived through that, 1918 Spanish flu time. But for the most part, most people didn't really know what that was like. So all of a sudden you add Shark Tank to to the list of like growing demands of your life.
Yeah.
Talk to me about how you started to structure your pitch, how you were balancing that with work life balance and
Well,
everything.
we didn't have to. So listen, I didn't really understand. Like, they were like, write a pitch, submit it, go. So I was like, okay. So I wrote a pitch and I submitted it to the producers and they were like, perfect. And I was like, okay, so do you want to like work on it? And they were like, no, no, it's done. So it was very, again, I don't know a lot of other people's experiences. For me, I had a pretty clear vision. This is my company, right? And I'm the consumer of my own product. I created this for me. I needed this. So there's kind of no one else better to speak to it and to kind of understand from a consumer perspective how we need to be spoken to as women, right? I'm very not worried about talking about breasts in a very approachable way. I do it all the time because, again, it's part of the ethos of my business. Um, so I'm very comfortable with that. And they were just like, yeah, great, awesome. This is awesome. Go. And I was like, oh, okay. I thought that was going to be a lot of time. And it was not, it was approved kind of first draft. So from there on out, it was just kind of getting all the other details in place, I think. Picking out your set, getting it ordered. I was supposed to shoot in July. I got pushed back to September, which was challenging, just for me because of the timing. When you're approaching something like that, it's very hard to kind of live a normal life because you always feel like you should be preparing more. And so I just got to a point where I stopped preparing. I was just like, I know what I know. The pitch has been done for 4 months. Like, we're good. We're fine. So, and then as you get closer, it's really about everything else. So I think it starts to hit you that this thing that you've like grown and nurtured. And for me personally, I'm a solo founder, so I put all of my savings, all of my money. I sold my car, I sold clothes. I'm not joking, like everything into this, because I think, for me, there's never been a plan B. It's plan A all day, and so we make plan A work, whatever it takes, right? And so the idea of going on the show where you've seen that show is predicated on drama, which is, I think, why it's so successful, but it's also real. Like, they don't know you're coming. You know, you don't know what's going to happen until you walk in there. And so just the thought of the million ways that could not help my business potentially, or that, I could not get what I wanted to say across or be who I am on camera was like really kind of scary, right? Because you're like, oh, I've been working so hard for this, and what if I don't do it right? So
I mean, I couldn't agree more on the this is plan A and this is it, right? Now did you? I don't recall if you said in the episode, but what field were you in prior?
so I got my MBA right out of undergrad. I was one of those early, they called it an early leader, but I basically was a 4+2, just was like, I'm going to be big time. So I was really young. So I was really, really young in business school. I was like one of the youngest people ever in business school. I was like 22, 23, like rolling in with sweat,
Wow.
right? Like didn't understand that that was supposed to be a very sober experience. And I was like, let's learn the things and get the jobs, right? Let's go. So kind of that's kind of how been most of my life has been. I'm just like, yes, I see that, want that, let's go do that. So I got a job, an internship. Again, wasn't supposed to, with Procter and Gamble, and then got the full time offer. As soon as I graduated, I moved to Cincinnati, Ohio, as a assistant brand manager, and then from there, you know, they believe, as do I, that anybody can work on any brand, whether you're the consumer or not, as long as you take the time to really develop deep consumer understanding, talk with people, listen to people, do your research, do your homework. And so I've worked on a bunch of different brands for Procter and Gamble, and then left and continued my career as a brand director, a VP of marketing, and a CMO. So I did a bunch of stuff at kind of a younger age, just because I got in and out of business school really quickly and very young, right?
Well, that speaks a lot to you, right? And not only to your accomplishments, but your personality, your tenacity, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, I love the fact that you took it upon yourself to say, we're just going to go in and do this and knock it out. I mean, I'm guessing you were at least a decent student to be able to stomach the amount of schooling at that. I mean, not that big picture, not a doctor,
Of course.
not 10 years of school or anything like that, but 6 years is, all back to back right out of high school is a lot to take in. Um and it's awesome that it was able to work out for you with landing the P&G offer. So well I look so I think having going back to the whole plan A, right? And there is no plan B. I mean, technically in your position, the position you've set yourself in because you've done the work, like you could get another VP
Yeah,
marketing,
yeah,
like
yeah.
not that you want it, right? And that's not really plan B, that's kind of like plan Z or like yeah, Z for zombie, right? Because that's what you're gonna be if you go back, right?
The way I think about it is this: you don't clear out your savings, your 401k, everything you own. I moved in with Mama Bear. That is true. Like you don't do that because you think it'd be fun to make a bra, right? Like you don't. People have asked me. They're like, "Oh, well, how do you know the size of the consumer market?" And I was like, because before I sold the car, turned the 401k into cash and used the savings, I made sure that I wasn't the only, like, I made sure I wasn't wearing a $200,000 bra and developing that just for me, right? Like, I wanted to make sure that, I wasn't the only one that wanted this, because, sometimes we can be myopic and we can just be like, oh, this is a great idea and I should go and do this. And you should, but when you're going all in, you're putting every card on the table. I'm just the kind of person that's like, maybe we should check and just make sure we could make a couple dollars on this. Or maybe we should just go and hire someone to make me a custom bra. It's kind of one of those two things. So that's what I did, right? You kind of got to know.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's why. Like, I was just actually before we were talking, I just went back and reviewed your pitch episode, and I even talked about the my avatar guide. Right, go and get that because that is 64 questions to enable you to be able to answer those questions. Right? Is there people that are like that? Because you'll have all the answers, and once you have the answers of what they like, it's super easy to
Mhm.
get the insight from the other brands that are already doing it and how they're going about marketing it and et cetera, et cetera. So that's superjoepardo.com/avatar. Didn't mean to make that an ad, but it's something you absolutely should think about, right? You to know that that there is somebody else that's going to buy it, and you're not building a one-off for just you and maybe like one or two other people that have 200 grand laying around.
Yeah, I can't think that the value would be there. But listen, I don't come from a family with money, right? I come from a single parent family. My mother's like superwoman. She's like a 1950s housewife. She sews, cooks, cleans, held like three jobs. So I was raised in a family where I learned very quickly that if you wanted something, you could you just have to work hard enough to get it. And I do realize that is not everybody's situation, right? Not everybody is a white woman raised in a middle class, house that have opportunities to just go out and get a job and do what you want. But there is something to be said for being ignorant enough, like I was at a young age, not to understand that there were limitations, to not even consider that there would be roadblocks. It's why, I got into college. It's why I got into business school. I mean, I walked into my business school while I was a senior in college and said, "Hey, I want to go here. What do I got to do?" And they're like, you got to take the GMATs, do the application, and fill out the referrals. And I was like, okay, when's the deadline? They were like, Friday. This is like a Monday. And I was like, great. I'll go take that test, whatever that is, do this, and see you on Friday. I'll get them to print out my score and just bring it in. And so I did. I'm no joke. Showed up to the GMAT like 2 days later and was like, hello, I would like to go to school here. And they were like, who the hell are you? That's not, I don't recommend that. I guess there's just something to be said for being slightly ignorant. You know what I mean? There's something to be said for that. And just being like, I'll figure it out. Let's work. Let's go.
I think what it is it there's it it's for knowing yourself, right? And knowing your limitations, knowing your buttons, knowing what you're capable of, and then what you're not like maybe capable of and what you're not capable of, right? And then finding, where that middle ground to push the not into the maybe and the maybe into the can and all that in between, because it's very gray area there. But knowing yourself well enough to say, yeah, no, I can totally just go and do this. I mean, I have a similar story, because I was a dropout of or not high school, college,
Mhm.
and back in like 2004, 2005, and I went to go back when I left my family's business, or I was gearing up to leave. I went back to school, and I was like, well, can't I just test out a lot of these things? Like, I've been around business. I'm the CEO of the company. Like, I've done to all the like, well, you're supposed to take this like Excel course or something. I'm like, bruh, like, I've been using computers since I was 6. Like, I know servers, networking, all the everything in between. Like, I know it. Like, I know it. And if I don't know it, I know how to Google it. Okay, it's not rocket science.
Right.
So but it's about knowing yourself and knowing what what your current boundaries are, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, I think and maybe being ignorant to certain aspects of other people's limitations and boundaries and thought processes
Yeah.
is a good thing. It
Yeah.
absolutely is a good thing. So you get to go walk down that hallway. How are you feeling walking down the hallway?
I blacked right out.
You're not the first one to tell me that.
No, I did. I did. So I actually looked it up when I got out of there. So it's called disassociation, apparently. Never happened in my life. But I had been kind of hanging out all day and, made friends with everybody because I'm friendly. So I'm like, hello, Janet, the hair lady. And so I remember sitting back there. It's at this point, I've been there 6.5 hours waiting, going on, between different lots, looking at stuff, setting up, getting ready. And like I said, I wasn't practicing at this point because, like you just said, know thyself. For me, I've put the work in. And so I learned this in business school. College, I got to say, my undergrad, I didn't do anything. I have a pretty good memory. And so I would just kind of show up to class, go to every class, take it in, pass the test, get good grades, be done. Right. I was pretty lazy in college. Business school was, hey, everybody here is way smarter than you. Everybody here has paid 100 and something $1,000 to be here full time for 2 years. A lot of international students, that are sent there to go and get an education. My first semester, I got a B average, and that's anything less than a B in business school is failing, and you're graded on a curve. So I learned very quickly that I actually needed to study and I actually wanted to learn really in depth things versus what I felt like college was kind of broad, if that
Mhm.
makes sense. Um, so I learned that the same thing happened with preparations for Shark Tank and then day of, right? It's like if you're cramming before a test, i.e., going on Shark Tank, for me, what I'm doing is just psyching myself out. I'm overthinking it. I'm not staying true to who I am. I also made a cognizant choice that I was going to be just real Athena. People like real Athena, and I like real Athena. Professional Athena is boring. Like, I think I'm boring when I'm like very buttoned up professional. And I've had to play that role a lot in my career because I'm usually the youngest one on the executive team, only female, and probably by 30 years, the youngest on the board of directors, right? Like, I am not fun when I'm being professional Athena. So I made the decision that I was like, you know what? I'm going to be normal Athena. I'm going to speak in my normal cadence. I'm obviously not going to swear, but just going to be me. Because if they don't like me at that point, then I can say, forget them because I like me. So, right, if I try to be something different than that, if I try to go in as very polished professional Athena and they don't like that, I'll always think in the back of my head, well, that's not who I am. They don't know me. You know what I'm saying? It just felt like a big risk of regret. And so I was like, and if something happens, like you black out, Joe, when you're about to walk down the, thing, then I will naturally revert to natural Athena anyways, like normal Athena anyways. So it ended up working out because I did black out. And I watched it for the first time with y'all on March 11th. Like that was literally my first time watching that episode.
Well, I think it's also, I mean, it does come back again to knowing your customer, right? And if your customer is okay with normal or regular Athena, then that's all you should bring, right? Because at the end of the day, it's not really about selling the sharks. It's really about selling to the people.
Yep.
The shark, it's an added bonus to be able to walk out with a deal, but you're going to gain customers for life from that experience
Yep.
in those moments. And how many more women are going to, I was falling for it too, right? Because I'm like, I love the puns, I love the what she's bringing to the table here, as far as her personality and how she's treating it, and not being super serious about it, and all that. Because if it was super serious, I'd be like, well, all right, but like that, is that enough to separate you from the other, bra companies out there, right? Being just the straight faced, like serious Athena.
You know, I'd say it this way. This is maybe the way I think about it. I don't care. Um, why I don't care is this. This is my brand. I've always been behind the scenes for all the other ones, and this is mine, and I get to do what this is my money. I've had a lot of people reach out kind of initially very angry that we don't make sizes above a size 40 right now. I even saw some in the comments, and I'm like, guys, I hear you. Like, we are getting there, but you don't understand the amount of cash that that takes. And you also may not understand that we're not Victoria's Secret. I don't have $1 million in the bank. These things cost a lot of time and money. And as a solo founder startup, like, you have to work your way there. You can't just start getting everything to everybody because it would take you 10 years and you'd run out of cash before you did that. So it's great because now I can be like, hey, we are working on it now that we have a little bit of cash. We are absolutely going into testing next month. You can have a vision for your company and not yet have it achieved, but it doesn't make the vision any less valuable. It doesn't make the vision any less sort of authentic to you. I am the consumer, and my only goal is to leave women better than I found them, because I struggled, man, for a long time. And I struggled in my prime, probably years, right? Where I should have been flaunting it, running around very confident with my body, and instead very cognizant of the attention that it drew that was unwanted, or how that was playing out for me in a professional setting. Do you know what I mean? And those are things I try to help other women with so they don't have to go through what I did. Ultimately, I don't care if being professional or personal works for people. What I do care about is authenticity, because ultimately I've learned that If you try to be everything to everyone, you're basically nothing to no one. And not every single woman that comes in contact with Behave should love me or the brand. If that's the case, I'm doing it wrong. Like we should have love people, not like people. And what I've seen since the show is unbelievable love. I've never seen a more emotional consumer, and it's what I've been saying for 2 years. This is a real problem with a real solution now that we're working to even expand that. But that is more valuable to me than dollars in the bank, than sales. And the system will come. Those will come. But as we grow, like, I got to stay true to what I was trying to build every single day, because it's my company and I want to work here and like get jazzed to go to work every day. You know what I mean?
As you should. It is your company. It's your money. It's your it's your every. I mean, at this point, it's like pretty
Yeah.
much everything but the roof over your head, right? So, it's and again, that will come just like all these other awesome things, and it's so great to see uh, so much support for something that for I guess for a problem that people like as a large chunk of the population experiences yet doesn't talk about.
Ever.
Uh, well, that's why I like. So I interviewed a friend of mine, and I think I mentioned this in the episode. My friend Jessica Kravitz, and she's in New York, and does bra size fittings like at your house. Like I don't want to say door to door. She's not going door to door, but she literally is in home fittings, and to me that was like I'd never heard of that before. I'm like, oh, that's crazy. Like I mean, when I found out about it, it was probably in 2011 or something like that. So I mean, it was a while ago at this point, but it just opened my eyes to like a whole different problem that I didn't even know existed until I met her, and then we're talking and all that. So, um, it's something that I feel like if it bothers that many people, we should talk about it and not live in a culture of silence. It's like we're so loud about so many things, especially on Facebook, about things that's like, I thought we were supposed to not talk about money or politics or religion, but let's be silent about things that like literally are hurting people every day. I mean, not hurting people in the grand scheme of like what Ukraine's experiencing or anything like that, but or other parts of the world are experiencing to this moment. But everybody's experienced, a lot of people are experiencing this problem, and it becomes a silence thing, which really sucks.
I think I think you make a great point there, which is like, that's why I think a lot of the reaction was as strong as it was for our company. And for me, right? Like, I give women permission to talk about things that maybe some have considered taboo, but I'm like, everybody has breasts. Men have them, women have them. And if men don't have the same ones we're talking about, they've seen them. Like, this is not nuts. I tell women, I'm like, listen, I've seen all of them. I've yet to see a really, truly bad pair. I got to be honest. They're all pretty great. And you got to stop and stop looking at Instagram with photoshopped people and airbrush. You have to like put down the magazines, stop looking at what people are trying to show you, turn off the porn, quite frankly. Stop. Those are augmented. If you think they're going to sit up and stare you in the eyes, you're either 10 years old or you're augmented, which I have nothing against, but again, get some perspective. Look at your friends' boobs. Women do not get naked around each other nearly enough. You go into a locker room and there's not women walking around topless, like doing stuff. We tend to be the more modest sex. And there's nothing wrong with that, except that I think it makes a lot of women live in this stage of fear to talk about it, taboo side. So if I can be the one that breaks that through in a way that's approachable, obviously classy, right? Let's not say things that are sort of demeaning, but if I can be that one that gives women permission to kind of take a look at it and feel better about it, there's more than 50 million women that have a double D and above. There's way more than that. I'd argue, F cup is probably actually more of the average. So
Jeez.
it's only going to get bigger. It's only going to grow. If I'm the one that gives you permission to be like, screw this, let's do something different. Great. I've done my job. quite frankly.
Yeah, well, and you do it in a way that is approachable, and again, the puns were awesome. So I think it opens people's minds to what we can and can't talk about. And look, I there's like being a guy, right? It's difficult even for me to do the reaction video in some ways, because like I can't necessarily speak to the problems. I only know, I mean, obviously I know my friend Jessica, and I have lots of friends that are women, but we don't generally talk about that, right? It doesn't generally come up. And even to, I had to go to my wife and say, well, what's the cost of a bra? Because I don't buy them, right? I don't go shopping for them. I don't know much.
Yeah.
I don't know much. I don't know what I don't know, right? So I have to go out and find out that information as well to be able to bring it here to the
Yeah.
channel. Um and but yeah, I am a little surprised that it's actually as big of a problem as you were saying, and as that they're as large as they are. The sizes, like, I mean, I guess well, even on this end, I mean, I don't hang out with a bunch of prepubescent boys, I guess I should say, to have those conversations, because like the people I hang out with don't have those conversations. It just doesn't come up. So yeah.
Again, we'll get there. We'll all get to a point where we can stop. Like, what the thing that makes me sad, right, is that, and because I did this too, as women, we blame ourselves. So we're like, oh, it's my body that's the problem. It's my body that's weird or freakish or whatever term you want to throw on this. I mean, listen, I grew up, when you go to a store, a normal big box store, any store, and you cannot find your size, you feel like you do not exist. There's no other way to kind of put that. I feel normal, and well, I mean, probably mentally not, but like I feel normal every day. And then there's just this one thing that makes me all of a sudden wildly abnormal. Not that I want everybody to be the same or systematic or normal, but again, the way it makes women feel who are already chasing idealized standards of beauty that aren't real. And then again, you get into this area where it's like nothing I do provides relief, everything hurts. I can't find something that fits me. My body's the problem. Even just me telling women every single day when I talk to them, like, hun, it's not you, it's the bra. We can fix the bra. That's the easy part. Like, we can fix that part. You need to like understand that what God gave you is awesome. Like, we'll work with that. It's the bra that's got to be trash. Like, blame the bra. Please stop blaming yourself. Like, when was the last time your partner ran screaming from the room when you took off your top? When was the last time that happened? Never, right? Because they're awesome. So, like, enough with the body shaming stuff. You're doing it to yourself. Stop it. Shame the bra. The bra sucks.
Well, so all right. So a couple things. One, the filters aspect. I was watching there was a TikTok or I guess it was a TikTok that was on my Facebook feed of this lady talking about like how, I don't know, she was talking about something. I don't recall what she was talking about, but she, at the end, she's like, and this isn't even what my real face looks like, and so she turns the filter off, and I'm like, so it's not far off, but like, holy crap, like live processing of people's faces. I mean, we're worried about deep fakes. What about just like fake fakes? Like if I'm in the makeup industry, in the television sector, I think in another 5 years or so, I might not really need I might not have a job, in most cases.
There's
There's always
something
going to
about
be live in front of studio audiences, but if we're just like taping in front of nobody, just throw the filter on, man, and and let it roll.
I hear you. I mean, this is why, I have always limited my personal social media intake. Um, because I am a relationship person, right? By nature, I like people. I like to meet people. I like to hear about people. I like to interact with people. And I like the reality that brings. And so I've always limited my social, and I've always known like we only post our best sides on social. Very rarely do you have people that are like, "Man, I totally lost my patience with my children today and told them they were terrible monsters." Like no one's posting that. So, I already kind of know that. I think the challenge with women, especially with breasts, is when you have large breasts, a lot of the time is spent minimizing their appearance, their look, their impact on your life. You're really trying to kind of get them to behave. And that is where that name came from, for real. I was like going on a rant one day and I was like, I don't want them up at my chin. I don't want them smashed on my body. I definitely don't want them pointing at the floor. I just want them to sit in their assigned seats and behave themselves. Like, enough. Stop causing me problems. So that's how I came up with the name. But these women, it's just like, we have enough junk to deal with. I am aging. It is true. I I am okay with that, right? People that know me know what I look like. They know that I don't really wear makeup normally. They know that I don't usually blow out my hair. They know that I am just, what I look like. I'm not doing selfies everywhere because I'm like, what I look like if we're good friends. There's no need to like posture on social. Let's be clear, I'm not finding my next ex-husband on social. So like it's we got to do a better job of just being as authentic as possible, because exactly what you're saying, Joe. It's only going to get worse with the filters and the makeups and the photoshopping and the deep fakes and the real fakes and whatever we do. We got to get better about learning how to handle that as females in particular, because it becomes insidious. And then women are like, that is real. And you're like, no, 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 nothing about that is real. No. So yeah, I got to figure out how to do a better job. And part of the puns is because if I get into highly technical language, it goes over people's heads. So it's like, let's just talk like normal people, their breasts, their boobs, their tots, whatever you want to call them. You just want them to behave. You just want them to stop causing you problems. You just want to feel confident. It's the same stuff, since the beginning of time. It's just a product that, in particular, in the U.S. market, Joe, is
Mm.
not, has not been done its service, quite frankly. Victoria's Secret really, really messed up a whole generation or two of women. So we're trying to undo that now.
Well, that is great to hear. That your point about the negative marketing. I mean, aside from like I had to yell at my kids today, but even then, I feel like every time I see, or I didn't mean to say negative marketing. That gave it away. Every time I see negative posts, it's for marketing
Yeah.
purposes. Almost,
Yeah.
unless somebody dies or is super sick. If it has something to do with you personally and it's negative, it's
Yeah.
probably a marketing ploy for something.
And I'm
Which
not
is,
saying we overshare and we tell everybody our business. It's more of like, how do we add that extra layer of reality, that this isn't like, we know it's not someone's everyday life, but think about it. When you're going on social 26, 27, 28 times a day, that is your touch on reality at some point, right? It's not like you're
Mhm.
checking once a day and you're like, those people are crazy. You're on there constantly, doing whatever the heck you're doing. And it starts to become, just like I said, insidious. So I'm not telling people to stay off social. I guess it's more for my ladies out there to be like, connect back with the people in your life that are real. Go look at your friend's boobs or your mom, whoever, right? Get some real perspective. Ask your partner, male, female, whatever, what they think, and then just stop, right? And then leave it there, instead of taking it to the places that I think we all tend to kind of take things, which is like, we internalize and we're like, I'm not good enough, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not skinny enough. Well, yeah, you're never going to be perfect. So the best you can do is be your version of a perfect 10. That's what I strive for. Because I'm never going to look like you, Joe. I'm never going to look like your
That's
wife.
okay. You don't need
Oh, even if I
to.
wanted to, I never will. So I just am like, all right, let's go be Athena perfect 10. That's the only, I have blinders for that, because I'm unwilling to get enough plastic surgery to look like someone else's perfect 10. It feels hard. So I'm just like, let's do Athena stuff, um, and stick there and stay in that lane. And that, I think, it frees you up not to get jealous of other women and not to feel like you're wanting, because this is what, again, this is my gene pool. I deal with what I have here. Like, this is what I got to do. I have to like get an A+ doing that first, right?
Look, as an Italian, I know. Believe me, I know. We got so far away from what we were. All right,
Well,
so
this is kind of my business, really, but yeah, it's fine.
no, it is. It is. You know, it's an aspect into the psyche, the thought process, the marketing process,
Mhm.
all those things. I mean, it is right. All of it. I like to think anything that comes out of my mouth is business related. But I'm just gonna be talking about video games. I don't care what I'm talking about. It's something we're tying it back to business
Yeah.
in one way or another. So okay, so how do you feel it went in the tank? Do you feel that it was a well represented, like the final video was well represented of the, I don't know, 45 minutes, hour that you were in there?
Joe, babe, I was in there 10 minutes.
Oh, come on. No, you come on.
Yeah, they think it might be the fastest ever. Yeah.
No way. Come on, seriously?
Hey, yes, I was.
10, was you sure it was actually 10 minutes? I mean, I could see a
My
half
my
hour.
producers told me it was 12, 2 minutes for the pitch. Joe, I thought I
Wow.
was on a new version called Extreme Punk Athena Shark Tank. Like, I couldn't understand why it went. I wore low heels, Joe. Like, I was like, they're like, you're gonna be standing out there, and I was like, all right, we're gonna go for the sensible shoes. Like, this is a marathon, not a sprint. Um, yeah, no, it was that quick. They did not cut out much. We'll put it that way.
Wow. Okay. All right. And did you have a shark in mind when you were going into it that you probably wouldn't since you didn't really watch the show or
No, listen, just because I didn't watch the show doesn't mean I didn't do my homework. I very much studied up, just like you would any investor or any kind of business meeting, each of their personalities and sort of what they needed, how they needed to receive information.
Mm.
And then compared it against how sometimes I can give information, especially when I'm nervous. I can just be like, "Do, do, 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 do," So I really worked hard on developing skills for myself to prevent me from just absolutely word vomiting on people. You've seen it happen on the show. But just like taking things off on your fingers. I know my numbers. I do my own financials. Like, I know everything about my business. So, why get caught up on something I know? Why not just figure out how to deliver the information in the way in which someone needs it? So I did a lot of that. No like Jedi mind tricks, just basic stuff that would get me to the point because I know my stuff. I know my stuff. It's whether you like it is your call, but like I know what I'm doing. So I really practiced that part, did a lot of research on those guys on how they seem to react and like data and like stuff delivered to them. It wasn't changing what I was going to do. It was just making sure I was delivering more effectively than I have there have been a couple times in my career where I've just been like, man, could have done that a little bit better, Athena. Come on, man. So, drawing on those for myself, being like, okay, let's prevent this. And it was great because I blacked out. So I naturally reverted to my preparation. I was like, okay, apparently this is going well in my head as I'm watching myself do this. It's going quite well. So we don't need to be cognizant of what we're saying. It's all coming out in the right way.
As it did. I mean, look, the editors, will chop it up and make it look like it did or it didn't. So that's awesome to see. And so did you have a shark in mind that
No,
were thinking? No? Oh, okay.
well, I had thought for different reasons, different people might be interested. I think what makes it a little bit challenging, Joe, is like you really don't know what else they're doing. You can look up the companies they're affiliated with and the deals they've done, right? But you really don't know who could really have a conflict of interest that you're not aware of. And so, you always just hope that you're going on there without having the ability to get a deal from Five Sharks. So that's kind of where I started. But I think each one of them does offer something very valuable. And we are such a young company. And I'm, again, a solo founder, that I found value in each one of them. And that's the honest to God's truth. Like Mark Cuban wants to come in, like Mark, we could have figured out exactly what to do to kind of make this work for you and really benefit me. Same with Kevin, absolutely Barbara, obviously Lori, and even Damon. But it's like, you know, you don't know what else these guys have going on. And I'm not sure they had a chance to make any deals that day. They might have been cut, what happened. But I think Kevin, you know, might have made it known that no one was going to beat the deal he was about to give me. So,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know I certainly was surprised seeing Kevin offer up a deal in a line that and I talked about this in my reaction video about like, look, there's a lot of things I think Kevin passes up on that I'm like, you already have the mailing list. Like,
Right.
what comes after marriage? Babies. Why are
Yeah.
you not investing in more baby stuff? Like, not that you have to invest in everything, but it
Right.
just to me like he goes out so quick on things that it's like there's a lot of opportunity there because you already have the
Yeah.
data, whatever you want to call it, to make those deals and make it happen. And to your point, which I'd never really thought of, admittedly before this, is you don't really know what they have going on. You know the deals that they did, you know the deals that actually went through, but you don't know what they've been introduced to since
Mhm.
last filming, like or because I mean there's like a year between filming, in some cases. So
Right.
there's a lot of time there that they're like doing other deals and they're doing other being introduced to by other companies they've already made deals with, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, you just you have the history, but the history doesn't dictate where necessarily. I mean, hell, we saw Mark Cuban invest in Tania Speaks, and then in diaper dust.
Yep.
So like just sometimes it doesn't always make it doesn't always go the way you might think it would go
Yeah.
for like say cosmetics or for a baby
That's
product.
why it's like, don't over, I am an overthinker by nature. Um, but this was the one where it's like, again, don't overthink it, just do it. Like, know what you're gonna take, what you can take, what you're willing to take, right? And again, for me, I do my own numbers. I do my own stuff. So I'm like, I know what I can do here and what I can't. Know that the deal you're making is gonna help your business, or you wouldn't be on the show going through that amount of like stress and like crazy town. And just for me, it was again, focus on what you can control, and what I can control is me, and what I can control is, again, my biggest concern was coming off as someone other than who I am. Like, I am jazzy and happy and like people and care about what I'm doing. And so the most horrifying thing for me was like that I was going to come off as like some weird person that I would not want to be friends with, and that I would forever be embarrassed was captured on tape. Right? That's what I was worried about.
That's come up quite a few times in these interviews. Is like, I feel like I would be like, oh, I don't make that face, don't make that like panicked face, don't make that face, and then bam, they're going to find it one way or another. You're going to make it, not even realize you made it, and hopefully it doesn't come off looking too horrific,
I made that
in the
face. I
moment.
mean, they literally got pictures of me where I'm like just looking crazy. And again, what do I care? Right? I don't care. You have to get to the point where you're just like, I know who I am. I know what I look like. Everybody who loves me and I love knows me. Right? So if someone's going to capture one frame and say, this girl looks nuts, you're probably correct. I probably looked real nuts in that frame. Like, what am I concerned about that if you think I look a little crazy in a frame? It's like, yeah, I agree with you. I looked a little nuts a couple times. That's fine, right? What I was more concerned about is that my essence wouldn't kind of translate. I wouldn't be able to kind of get across. I can be a very earnest person where I'm like, I want you to like me. Um, for people that I want to form a relationship with. So that's what I was trying to do on the show, is just be true to that. That's who I am. It's not going to change at this point. So just don't come off looking like some weird wooden girl in a dress. You know what they were calling me behind the scenes?
What's
So
that?
I told you I was there all day. I spent a lot of time picking out a dress, right? Because it's challenging. Joe, ask your wife.
I do not. I see it every day. It's
Yeah.
like, all right, are you done? This is the
Well,
third
it's
time you
not
gotten changed. Okay, good. Are
not
we
the
good to
same
go?
reason though. Like for me, the challenging part, Joe, is the top half needs something and it doesn't really match the bottom half, right? It's one dress, one piece of fabric, and I'm buying like a 14, 16, and then the whole bottom's got to be remade so that thing fits. The reason is because I wanted to make sure it was somewhat apparent that I really am the customer. I am, but without having to show anything else, right? I wanted to do that on my terms. I think a lot of people need to see that I'm the customer, but at the same time, I
Mhm.
am not super comfortable showing my breasts on television, quite frankly. And so that was like, I spent a lot of time with that. And I remember I was on the set all day, like going all around, and I would meet really people and be like, hello. Again, I'm in LA, super friendly. And people are just like, hi. And throughout the day they would come up to me and like, you're the CEO James Bond girl, because they thought that I looked like a CEO Bond girl, right? Which I was like very flattered about. They're like, oh, you're the one with like the very tailored, you know, Bond girl vibe. And I was like, that's me. Hi.
That's a very forward way to meet somebody. I don't know if I could say that to somebody that I just met.
Again, it is that's a vibe that's good for me. What's not what wouldn't be good for me is A, not looking like the CEO of my own company, or B, looking, like an avatared version of this consumer. Like, I am a normal human. This is how normal women look. Thanks, guys. But maybe with a touch of CEO. So it worked out, but man, that was real stressful trying to find the perfect dress that wouldn't show anything, but that would show just enough to have people be like, oh yeah, she's my people. Like, I got her. You know what I mean?
Mm. Yeah, no, I definitely sympathize with that or empathize with that because it's I mean, finding the right dress in general, I mean, can be difficult when you're trying to find the right dress that for 5 million people plus the rest of the
Well,
world
it was
are
for
gonna
the
see you in
sharks.
on reruns forever and always
Well, it was
is a little
honestly
tough.
for the
It's a little
sharks,
tough.
right? Like, I am the CEO of my company. I was very concerned about, I want to look the CEO. I'm not going to come out wearing a Behave t-shirt. Like, we don't make those either. But like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, I wanted to make sure, far too often people have not taken me seriously in my career. And that's actually fine with me. I'm fine with that. You know what I mean? I've been to plenty of meetings where I get, the intern with me. I used to have this intern, Sam, back in one of my jobs, and we are at one of the biggest retailers in the country in person to meet the buyer. And he walked right by me to Sam and was like, hello, it's so nice to meet you. And Sam was like, looking around, and I was like, hi, I'm Athena. I'm the CMO. How are you? It's fine for me, honestly, because don't take me seriously and then we'll see what happens, right? Like, I'll eat your lunch. But for Shark Tank, it was really about, you know, please do take me seriously, because this is a very interesting category where a lot of men don't take it seriously. Like you were saying, a lot of men don't understand how emotional and painful and whatever this category can be. And so they think you're some, I don't know, 20-year-old cheerleader just screwing around on the side. So I did want to hit that balance, because I do feel like I needed to do that a little bit more than maybe some of the other companies that come on the show, because of the nature of my product. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
absolutely. I just want to point out your ability to not internalize things like that. Like having somebody walk right by you and was Sam a guy or a girl?
A guy.
I assumed it was a
Oh
guy, but
yeah,
I have one of my business geeks here on the Business Geeks podcast is Samantha,
yeah. Oh nice.
and so we call her Sam, and so to not internalize things like that to a point of what's the bitterness, I guess I should say, is would be the word, is well, it's an incredible feat that a lot of people can't get through, get by it or through it, or work through it or think outside of their world enough to think like that this is the end all be all of everything, right? Because there is that, I don't know if you'd say stereotypical like female business person that like internalizes everything, and I'm going to crush everybody because everybody's against me because I'm a woman, and all that. And it's like, so I can appreciate not coming off as in that stereotypical like angry businesswoman fashion, and yet still saying, yeah, well, like you're gonna see what happens, because like I'm smiling, but like it's all good, like it's all good, like it's all good, it's all
It's
good.
again, I think the data would say that every businesswoman, if you just look at the data, should be rather angry and aggrieved. Um, just data, right? Like I always
Mhm.
joke, if I had like the confidence of a mediocre white man, I would be a bazillionaire by now. I joke about it. It's not true. But ultimately, again, I can only be perfect 10 Athena, and I struggle. Like I'm not there. I won't be there probably ever, but you don't know me that well. So of course it's not personal for me. And of course it's based on your past experiences and not mine. And of course I am the CMO. So I don't have to prove anything to you. Do you know what I'm saying? Like I already got the job. So I don't mind it. But again, with television and Shark Tank, nuance is not really possible. Like
Mm.
it's too quick. You don't know how they're going to cut it. That again, this going all the way back to the beginning of this conversation, that's why that show terrified me, because there is no time for nuance or a deep discussion or an understanding of each other's perspectives, right? Like you are on TV, however they cut you is who people think you are. That's it. End of the day. So, I am maybe blessed in some aspects because I was only in there for a minute. And so you kind of had to show it all if you were going to show it. But I kind of get it. That's what terrifies me. And that's why it's just, you got to you got to kind of prepare yourself and just say, okay, whatever happens happens, and I'll just do whatever I possibly can. That's my best, and we'll have to see where the chips fall, right? What else are you going to do? You can't buy someone out, though. You could try, I guess, but I don't think it works that way.
Yeah, generally not. No, generally not. But okay, so because I know we're running long here, and I want to be respectful of your time. Oh, I'm good, whatever, too. But um, so you get through it, and you you countered back to Mr. Wonderful. Uh,
17.
yeah. What did you have that number in mind before you
No,
went in there?
Joe.
I didn't think.
I
Well,
it's
obviously, but
fifteen. He boxed everybody out. He was like, this is what's happening, 20. And I'm like, 17? Like, I don't know. What am I going to counter? Like, you got to counter something. You got to at least like let them know you're there to play. But like, I'm like 17.5? Like, what are we talking about for 3 percentage points, right? Like, it's ridiculous that like, but you got to counter. I guess that's my point, is you do need to counter always. They'll, anybody you've ever talked to for that show is like counter. So it was just it was just so close to my original offer where I was just like, what? Again, it was all I was very much deer in headlights. A lot of that where I was just like, I'm sorry, you said what? 20? That I said 15. You want 20? So yes, I countered 17 because that really was really the only thing to do at that moment. 19 would have been ridiculous. 18 equally ridiculous. 16%, like, are we really going to do that? So I was like, we'll go right in the middle ish. And we'll end up at 20 because that's totally good for me, but we got to at least try, right? So I did.
Yeah, no, I do think that you should, as a general rule of thumb, try. But then you get the you get the shark's reaction. Oh, what are you talking about? It's talking about 2% or 3%. Like, yeah,
I
but
knew we weren't going anywhere for 2 or 3%. I wasn't worried about it. But on the off chance that it works, why not? Like,
yeah.
again, I wasn't about to look a gift horse in the mouth um, ever. Right. I know when you got the bird in hand, again, me and my puns, but for real, like when you're good to go, just shut up. So I was like, all right, 17. No, okay, great. Let's do it. Like, stop talking, say yes, and let's roll. Like, what are we even talking about right now? So,
So you get your deal, you leave this tank, head home. How like how things start going after leaving the tank?
well, I stayed in LA for a little bit. I have a little half brother out there who's probably the coolest human in the world. Like he's
Oh,
so,
that's awesome.
and I never get to see him. So we actually went to the beach and just sat around for a couple days. My older brother from back here flew out, and we had like a little mini sibling reunion just for a couple days because I really needed to kind of unwind. Again, it's a very stressful experience because of what's at stake. And so after I was like, let's just take a moment of zen. And again, get my favorite people around, which is my family. So yeah, I didn't party. I didn't do anything. I just kind of hung out with my brothers. And like, if you put me near an ocean, and I see an ocean, all is right with the world. So I literally just went to the ocean and just stared at the ocean for, for about 2 days. Um, and then, yeah, came back. And then I really started to prepare for when the episode might air. Clearly, it was a little bit more aggressive than I had prepared for. We can talk about that in a second. But yeah, ordering inventory, making sure that our systems are perfect, that, I have a plan A, B, and C, depending on what happens, and then waiting.
A, B, and C. Come on now. There's only a plan A, I thought.
Well, there's plan A with your assumptions, and your assumptions are plan A is only as good as your assumptions, and mine were a bit
Yeah.
low, so didn't work out great.
So yeah, so you is that like so how did things get kind of heavy for you?
We aired on March 11th. Um, I thought we would sell bras. I did. So I ordered a bunch of bras and added them to our inventory and was like, we're going to sell some bras. This is going to be great. And I didn't throw a party because I'm much too practical for that. I had my whole family over and a couple of my besties came in for the weekend and we worked.
Hold,
I had
hold on,
everybody
hold
trained
on.
in customer service.
That's a party, okay? Just wanted
No,
to let you know. If you
no, no.
just have your family over, that's still a party.
Well, no, no. They came, you don't understand. They came over to get training for
Oh,
customer
oh, oh,
service.
oh, oh.
Yeah.
Still a party. Look, you have a painting party. You have a customer training
So
party.
no, you don't understand. So we're watching, everybody's got their laptops. I've set everybody up on our customer service system. I provided training materials. Like I really kind of got after that. Same with my couple of my really good friends who, women are great at this stuff. And yeah, as soon as I started talking about bras and breasts, we started getting orders. I have a really dope video. I'll send it to you. It's
Yeah,
dope.
please do.
It's our site, the 10 minutes that I started, like as soon as I started talking and the 10 minutes after, and it looks like a nuclear explosion is going on the East Coast, Midwest of the United States. It was while I was speaking, we were getting orders. And I was like, wow, this is kind of crazy. Wonder if this is how. And then about 20 minutes later, my developer calls me panicked. She's like, Athena, you're going to sell out. And I was like, what are you smoking? What are you talking about? Um, and then we went on there and she's like, you have 4,000 open carts right now on your site today at this moment. And it just started. So we, it's great, but we sold out. Essentially, we were out on Saturday, less than 24 hours later. Really, everything went by Sunday. Um, I don't want to give out the financial numbers, but
Yeah, no, it's all good. It's all good.
they were ridiculous, absurd, right? So Yeah, and then we have, we're working on a 10,000 person wait list, and we're working on, I think I've gotten 3,000 emails in the past 10 days. No joke. It's everybody, long story short, they're all still working for me full time. My mother, my sister-in-law, really good friends. Like my brother's taken off his job just to help kind of support everybody right now. I'm not joking with you. We are so inundated. It's hard to describe. Like this right now, this interview is my free time for the day, and I'm really enjoying it, Joe, because I'm not, you
Aw.
know, doing emails right now, which I also love talking to customers. I've talked to everybody, but I just, yeah, it's like basically what you see on like TV, right? It's like the 6 a.m. to 2 a.m. nonstop all day. We are Greek and Italian, and I have not had a home cooked meal in 10 days, and I'm about to die from eating takeout. Yeah. I'm just like, will someone make me lasagna, please? Like, I'm dying over here. So we're trying to like figure that out, right? Because there's just no, I care too much to let stuff go, to let it go unanswered, to let it go untalked to. My whole nights are booked up with virtual fittings, trying to help. That kind of got screwed up on my calendar and was open when it should have been closed, and so I booked those out for like a month. So I care too much to kind of let things slip. Um, yeah, we went to the shipper, helped pack orders last week. Like we're just, you do whatever you have to do because people have put their trust and faith in you, right? And that's a big burden, but like suck it up, buttercup, because this is where you want to be, and it's only going to make you better. It's only going to make you stronger, and you're going to have to hire some people like I just did yesterday. Just like, hey, I don't even know you. Can you work? Can you work for me? Thanks. So it's a great place to be, but insanity is the understatement. Like I can't tell you how much that understates this. I knew it was going to be crazy. I did not understand that for my brand, it was going to be absolutely bananas. And it's like the most emotional love notes you've ever seen, and the angriest customers because they can't buy your product you've ever seen. Both for me are gold. Those are awesome.
Well, there's a lot to unpack there. First off, thank you for emailing again for emailing me to be on the, writing the comment and emailing me and to be here and taking your time in the time off. Your solo time to be here it does mean the world to me, and to be able to share your story and share the experience and share the knowledge and everything else that comes along with it, the puns, all of it together in one is just phenomenal. To get to be me and experience it. So I greatly appreciate you for that.
Of course. This is fun. This is like, what do life is fun sometimes, right? This is cool to talk about. What if we were on here talking about how I like tripped when I was walking down the thing and like went face first into a plant? That's not as much fun, Joe. Like, this is the fun stuff.
No, it wouldn't be a fun. Though we did have an example of that here in Philly when the Eagles won the Super Bowl. The guy that ran into the subway pole because he was like cheering with the people like, leaving on the subway, and he's running and like ran like head first, full speed into a pole in the subway here in Philly. I believe that was it. Right, it was around the time they won the Super Bowl. Maybe it was just before they won the
Ooh,
Super Bowl back in 2017.
I
So
feel
so
like
look, but they it happens, sometimes, and then you get to go on the news and get to, go on the radio and and stuff for for unfortunate things. But no, it's wonderful that your family has stepped in to help you, run make the company operate, right? Keep the engine moving. And it's awesome that I mean, I know I love to get to experience the love letters, the comments, and everything from people that watch this channel and the people that work with me and all
yeah.
that stuff. Like that, I mean, that to me is like that is currency. I did my podcast since 2014. Just after I left my family's business, I didn't leave my family's business because I love money. I it's like, it's whatever. Money doesn't move the needle that much for me, right? Um, as much as like people and relationships and conversations and stories do.
Yes.
So for me, getting to have, to share this time with you and get to read the comments of the people in the super community and um all those different things that I've done over the years, like those are the things that really move the needle for me so much more
Totally.
than more money. And I love the fact that you talked about that as well, being a motivating factor for
Yes.
you. Making the because I mean, obviously, this is for you, right? This whole company was for you, and I love that when we can take selfish things and share that with the world, and enable other people to have life transforming experiences because of it.
I mean, you hit it on the head, I think. Like you have to have something more to get up for in the morning than a paycheck and just money. I would love a paycheck. So maybe I can start taking one of those for the first time in like 3 years. Highly doubt it yet, right? But we'll try. You have to have something more than money to get up for because it's so easy to be like, today I want to earn money, right? And then what do you do? Like it's again, you don't put everything you have against something um, that you don't find valuable. And for me and for you, it sounds like its value is more than money. It's in relationships, it's new experiences. Yeah, it's awesome. Like talking to women that are like, you have changed my life. This bra is the best thing ever. I feel comfortable. I feel awesome. I feel sexy. I'm just like, I'm not a highly emotional woman. I'm not a big crier or any of that. I'm more of like a suck it up, let's get it done. But I see stuff like that and I just geek out. I'm like, this was worth it. And then I want to get up tomorrow morning and have that same moment and be like, yes, it's still worth it. Like, you know what I mean? Um, so, the day that goes away is the day I need to do something else, quite frankly. Because this is not cupcakes and sleepovers, Joe. Like, worrying about if you can buy a cup of coffee for $5 if you're me is not exactly what you signed up for. But at the end of the day, it is. And so these are the moments that you're like, awesome, put that in the bank, right? Remember that next time, you're struggling with something and then be like, wow, yeah, no, Candy from, Oklahoma really loved that bra. I did something good today. Cool. We're good.
Ding ding. Well, look, I thought the coffee was for everybody else's protection, not for your enjoyment. I don't. I personally don't drink coffee. I can't stand the taste of it.
Oh,
Yeah. I don't know. I just don't like. My wife never used to drink it either until we had kids, and then she succumbed to
she
the
needs it.
to the
She needs
to
it.
it.
Yeah, listen, personal preference, fine. But I mean, I'm not about wearing like those like meaning shirts, people are like, coffee first, please. That kind of
Oh
stuff. I
yeah.
do actually personally believe that my intelligence goes up a lot quicker in the morning when the coffee hits the system. So you're never going to talk me out of it, Joe.
I'm not trying to talk. I drink tea. I drink tea in the morning, but not every morning. But yeah, the coffee first thing. I never understood. I don't know.
It's not your thing,
I think
Joe.
it sends the wrong message. If if in my opinion.
Hey, listen, if this is your jam, again, this is my whole jam. You do you. Don't hurt anybody while you're doing it. Well, I'll be fine. I'll do me. I'll drink your
Well,
coffee, no problem.
you
But you're
you can
leaving
drink
out.
my share. It's okay.
No, I appreciate you guys having me on. It's fun to talk about it now, I guess, because it's over. So it's a lot more fun to talk about it now that it's over and that, I finally got to see it, right? Which is cool because I was like, I said that. So that was really fun. And then now I think it's just like, let's go grow, let's go get huge, let's go start the empire. Let's go save the women. Let's go kind of make a million new friends. I'm good with that.
Well, tell people how they can go and get that journey started with you.
Yeah, they can go. So we only sell our bras on behavebras.com. Behavebras.com. I say this because we don't have any plans to go on Amazon or any third party retailers. So yeah, hit me up on behavebras.com. I answer stuff. It's me. There, I own the company. I talked to a woman last night. She goes, "This is Athena?" And I go, "Who did you think this was. Like, I don't you know two Athenas? Yes, it's me. So yeah, go hit us up over at behaviebros.com. Reach out with any comments or questions. We have social up and running. It's growing. But really right now we're in like meet every woman, shake all the hands, kiss the babies mode. So we'll eventually you'll see a lot more from us soon. Right now we're just like get that done. Make sure everybody feels like they've been touched.
I do know two Athenas, by the way.
Oh,
One in
come on.
Hawaii. I
No.
do.
No.
Athena Moberg
No.
in also in Hawaii. Yes, I do know her. See, she's the only other one I know. I also know an Esprit.
I bet they're both
So
awesome. So
they are both very awesome people. They are both very awesome. And shout out to both Athena and Esprit. But yeah, so thank you so much, Athena, for being here. I greatly appreciate it. And real quick, did has your deal solidified with Mr. Wonderful yet?
we are working on some adjustments. Um,
Getting that
you know,
17%, that's awesome.
gotta get them down there. Gotta work on it. That 2%, 3%, big
It's
difference.
already proven. It's already proving it's worth way more.
Yeah, no, it's we're working on it, so you'll see that soon.
Awesome. Awesome. Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. And glad to hear that you stayed all the way to the end of this hour and 20 plus minute interview. Thank you so much for joining
Oh,
us.
quickest Shark Tank, longest Joe interview.
I think it might be. I have longer interviews in my 8-year catalog, but Shark Tank interviews, this might be the longest or second long. One or first longest or second longest. Anyway, we'll see you in one of these two videos right here. Take care and go be super.